Hey, friend, and welcome back to Elevate with Erica. So, today we're going to talk about a message that I heard recently, and it's something that I wish that I understood a long time ago. So, if you're kind of somebody who always is like chasing one goal after the next, and never really feeling like any one of those is good enough, and you're left reaching them and still feeling kind of empty, I want to share this with you specifically. So I came across this quote from John Maxwell, and it stopped me in my tracks. The point of the journey is not arriving. The point is what you learn and who you become along the way. And having goals is positive, but thinking that our journey is over once we achieve them is a danger that we face. So let's take a deep breath and let that settle in for a second. Because if you're anything like me, you've probably had a moment or lots of moments where you thought, once I get there, I'll feel better. Once I hit that goal, I'll be happy. Once I finally accomplish this, I'll be done. But the truth, arriving isn't the point. The real reward is in the process. So let's talk about that I'll be happy when mindset for a minute. I'll be happy when I lose the weight. I'll be fulfilled when I get the promotion. I'll feel confident when my business hits this rank or this income level, and I'll finally relax. I know you're going to relate to this one. I'll finally relax when the house is clean and the bills are paid and the chaos slows down. But that mindset, it's a trap. And I've definitely been in it. A few years ago, I built what I thought was my dream business with BODi. Like it was on its way to being everything that I had worked so hard for. I saw it finally going into a direction that I was really excited about, right? Like, and I had poured everything into it, time, energy, heart, and I had goals, big ones, and I hit a lot of them. And I had impact and I had income and I had this community that I loved being in. But then everything changed and that structure, it shifted and the compensation changed, and with it my income disappeared practically overnight. And I remember feeling like, wait, I hit the goals. Like I finally, was at these corporate events, and I had some team coming with me finally. I hit my goals. I arrived. How can this just vanish? But here's the thing. That loss, as painful and as confusing as it was, it forced me into a season of of a becoming that I would never ever ever trade. I had to ask myself, if the title and the income and the platform were gone, then who was I really? Who is Erica really? And that's where I found the strength to rebuild, to launch Elevate with Erica in a new way, to say yes to becoming a co founder with Make Wellness, and to use my story instead of hiding from it. Because that wasn't the end, that was a redirection. And that was the point. And I know that that was God's point in it for me. And that's why I always say, I don't regret what I built with BODi. That prepared me for what was coming next for me. That prepared me for the person I am now as a co-founder of Make Wellness. And the reason why that quote hit me so hard is because it reframes how we see our goals. They are not finish lines. They are growth markers. They are invitations to evolve. The real transformation isn't in crossing something off of your to-do list. It's in what you learn about yourself as you show up for that goal. The habits that you build, the stories that you rewrite, the self-talk that you challenge, and the moments that you want to quit, but you don't. You don't become elevated just because you've arrived. You become elevated because you kept going. So I've seen it in my health journey too. When I was approaching 40, something shifted in my body. I was doing everything that I always had done. I was eating clean. I was following my programs. I was staying active, but my results stalled. And in fact, they didn't just stall. I started to become really bloated, inflamed in places that I hadn't seen inflammation in before. I was losing my muscle definition, and I started doubting myself. And the old version of me would have said, you need to pick a harder program, or maybe you need to double up. You need to push harder. You need to cut more. You need to do more. You need to eat even with even more restriction. But instead, I paused. I didn't even share it publicly what I was going through because I was trying to figure it out. And I got that answer in my silence without weighing in, getting anyone else's opinion of what they thought I should do. No one knew I was going through this. I paused and I listened to my own body. And that is when I discovered these nature derived peptides. That's when I realized what my body was asking for wasn't punishment, it was smarter support. And the real transformation, it wasn't just in the mirror. It was in how I started to treat myself, how I prioritized recovering my body from the inside out, healing my body from the inside out, how I redefined strength and how I showed up as a coach and a leader from a place of compassion instead of trying to control everything. So let's talk about the danger that John Maxwell mentioned in that quote, the trap of thinking that the journey is over once we achieve a goal. So this is the I made it, so I'm done mindset, right? And then what happens? We stop stretching, we stop growing, we settle. We see a lot of companies do this, right? And what happens when they do that? Well, somebody else passes them, and you forget all about that company once they stop evolving, right? They're old news. So, have you ever hit a goal and then felt a little bit lost? Like, wait, now what? Because that I can totally relate to. That's because when we stop pursuing, we start plateauing, right? The minute we think that we've arrived, we risk staying the same. And friends, staying the same is not why you're here. You pushed play on an Elevate with Erica podcast episode, right? So we're not about staying the same. You are here to evolve, to elevate. You are here to live fully, and that means continuing to move. Even after you've hit the big goal, there's still more to explore, more to become, new layers to uncover, new ways to serve others, new dreams to chase. And that is a beautiful thing because that means that your growth never has to end. It just changes form. And so that's kind of how I see how I evolved as an example, how I evolved from how I was using the BODi platform to help people live healthier lives using a platform that allowed me to keep showing up for my health and wellness, even though I had two little ones at home and I was starting over after a divorce and I was, holding down a demanding role for a local government. Like that platform allowed me to show up for my health and wellness and to make myself a priority. And so I use that platform to then help others see that they could do the same with it. And what happened is through that experience, I evolved and my goal evolved. And how I see Make Wellness is that it opened up the window of people that I can help. Like my market expanded. I'm still helping people with the BODi platform. And now I have this additional resource that again turned everything around for me when my body started getting funky, approaching 40. And now I get to help other people with that as well. And that to me is how my goal changed form, right? It just changed form. That's all it did. It evolved. I want to help people live happier, healthier lives, right? Mentally, physically, all of it. And I'm still able to do that, even though the means kind of shifted, right? It grew, it expanded. So here is something that I live by now. Always have a new goal. Never think that you've done it. This is it. Always have a new goal. Not because you're never satisfied, but because you're committed to growing. Your next goal might not be bigger, it might be deeper. And maybe it's not about doing more, but about being more. Maybe your next goal is finally learning to rest. That's one of my goals for this summer. I took a yoga class, and I think my girl Sarah called it Calm Girl Summer. And it was like right about the time where I was in need of that. And so I've kind of run with it. So my goal this summer is to learn to rest, to actually enjoy summer, to turn off work at some point during the day, and to let go of perfectionism, to step out of fear into something new. Or maybe your next goal is to dream again after a setback. That's a great goal too. And when you focus on who you're becoming through each goal, you stop trying to tie your worth to what you're achieving, to the specific outcome, right? The outcome is not who you are. I want you to start rooting for finding your joy and finding out who you really are in the process. So here's what I want you to take from today's episode. I want you to set a goal. I want you to chase it fully, but don't miss the becoming that's happening in the process. It is the best part. Let every challenge that you face shape you. Let every delay teach you. Let every curve in there teach you, right? Let every win remind you of how far you've come, not just in distance, but in depth in here. And ask yourself, who am I becoming right now? What am I learning as I go? And what's the next version of me that's calling? Because, friend, that is the point. The growth, the grit, the grace, the becoming. That's what makes this journey so worth it. And thank you for spending time with me again today. And if this message hit home, I'd love to hear about it. So go screenshot this episode and share it to your stories. And please tag me at Miss_Erica_Renee and let me know what part stood out most to you or what goal that you're growing through right now. And if you're ready to set a new goal, whether it's in your wellness or your mindset or your business or your relationships, I hope you do it not just to arrive, but to become. Until next episode, friends, keep elevating because the journey is the whole point.